Let me let you in on a secret. Social media could stop disinformation tomorrow if they wanted to. How do I know that? Well, I might be some internet famous guy, but I'm also a software engineer, and I work for the Texas Aeromed Lab, where we use AI-powered drones to deliver whole blood to wounded soldiers. So, I know a little bit about AI. And in this video, I'm going to give you 4 ways that social media companies could stop disinformation tomorrow. But before I get started, you know what isn't misinformation? The fact that I use PIA VPN to keep me safe online. So click the link in the description below and get PIA VPN for 83% off plus 4 months free. Look, I was just pitching the Aeromed Lab in California, and I do not trust hotel Wi-Fi. There are a lot of people who want to steal the AI secrets that we work on at Aeromed Lab. And just recently, a German military officer used an unsecure phone line at a Singapore hotel to join a conference call, and that call was hacked and exploited by Russia. Make no mistake about it, you are a target, whether you work in AI or not. You need a VPN. Use mine. I use PIA VPN when I travel. I even use PIA VPN to change my location so I can watch Netflix shows from different countries. A VPN provides a tunnel between your computer and the public internet that hackers and rogue government agents can't penetrate. So click the link in the description below and get PIA VPN for 83% off plus 4 months free. Now let's talk about how social media can stop disinformation. So the first thing that social media companies could do to help stop disinformation is to create vector maps of images. Now I know this sounds really technical, but it's actually pretty easy to explain, so kind of hear me out on this. Think of a vector map as a description of a picture. For example, look at this picture of President Biden and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. If I were to write a description of this picture, I might say, 2 old men wearing suits standing next to each other. Now, there might be some other items in the picture, like a flag in the background or the color ties that they wear. Depending on the goals, we might want to add that information, but for the most part, this description is sufficient. Now, if I show you this picture, you might give it the same description. So let me show you a database that I made. This database holds 3 pictures. A picture of a church, a picture of Biden and Netanyahu, and this picture of an A-10 Thunderbolt II airplane. Now, these are 3 totally different pictures. And the vector maps tell the mathematical description of the picture. If I upload the same picture, even if it has text on it, the vector map is similar enough that the software can identify the original picture that this altered picture came from. Now, also keep in mind that within a database is an upload date. And with a little bit of tweaking, you could get the date that this image first appeared on the internet. You would just need to collaborate and exchange data with other social media companies. So now, when someone uses this as a template, a social media company could throw up a warning and say, like, hey, this is not original content and it first appeared at this date at this location. We're not necessarily suppressing this speech. We're just saying, like, hey, this person is using an image that was first posted on this date. And this would pretty much eliminate deceptive imagery persuasion, where a person uses real pictures that are older, but also uses text to lead someone down a path to an incorrect conclusion. And by the way, this software is available on GitHub. I forked it from Artem Startsky. I made a few changes, but it is free to download from GitHub if you want to play with it and you know C# and SQL. The next thing that can be done is the identification of copyrighted material. One of the things people do a lot is they take screenshots of images from newspapers or just right-click and save and post them as original content and place misleading information on that picture. That is the deceptive imagery persuasion I talked about before. Now, there is a thing called fair use, and that's usually restricted to educational use, transformative use, or for the public good. So if you use someone else's copyrighted picture and don't really transform the work, that's not fair use. Now, here's an example. This is the Twitter account of a garden variety communist who monetizes their racism through Buy Me a Coffee. This account used a picture of Benjamin Netanyahu that was taken from Reuters. You can even purchase a license right here. So this particular picture is owned by Reuters. Now, the same tech that was used to identify the source of the pictures that I just showed you could be used to identify these stolen pictures and then give the uploader the option of purchasing that picture from the source. If they don't purchase the picture, they can't upload. Now, this would cut down on a lot of false or misleading content because licensing a picture costs money. For example, a small picture of Netanyahu costs like $175. So don't forget as well, the people that took those pictures, they're missing out on revenue whenever you steal from them. So most sophists are not going to pay that licensing fee, and if they can pay that licensing fee and they can pay it multiple times, that might be a good indicator that the account you are following is inauthentic and is a state actor who is trying to influence you. Now, the third item would be a truth score. This would be similar to Twitter's community notes program where people submit corrections on top of news claims. The number of times corrections have been submitted could be calculated into a score that could be displayed on a user's profile or on their posts. This would let everybody know how often that source is truthful. These numbers could be calculated into a truth score, and eventually posters with high truth scores will tend to rise to the top. Ground News does something a little similar. Finally, social media companies could implement a cooldown for things like posting or sharing. For example, one way to detect bot behavior is to look at the number of times they post in an hour. In one case, I found an account that posted 51 times in just 1 hour. That is a pretty big red flag. Now, this could be fixed by restricting the number of times can post or repost it just a couple of times an hour, although testing would be needed to come up with an exact number. And if companies use things like social media for things like customer service, or let's say it's a basketball organization that wants to post highlights during the game, so they need more opportunities to post, that can be handled on a case-by-case basis. Now, before I end this, I want to address the concept of free speech. You have to remember that free speech is a concept that applies to the government, not to the owners of private business. The Constitution, or I should say the First Amendment to the American Constitution, only says that the government can't restrict free speech. A person who owns a private business can make pretty much any rule they want as long as they're not discriminating against a protected class. And note that your country's laws might vary. So, using these 4 simple methods, we're not restricting the kind of speech a person can say. We're just adding context on those items that are intentionally misleading in order to keep social media accurate for everybody. Hey, if you want to support the channel, head on over to Bunker Branding, get yourself a t-shirt like my Live Laugh Launch for Patriot Missile shirt, or you can even buy a Ryan McBeth in action figure. Yes, you can put Ryan on your desk, and every in action figure comes with a trading card. You can get that from theknifehandco.com. Thank you guys so much for watching.
In a world where fashion meets firepower, where style becomes strategy, it's time to gear up for the ultimate mission with Bunker Branding. Introducing the Rock Out With Your Chalk Out t-shirt, a tribute to the fearless air cavalry. Feel the adrenaline rush as you don the pride of the skies. For those of you who dare from the air, precision and power unite when you think outside the bomb. And don't miss our Live, Laugh, Launch t-shirts for Patriot and HIMARS, because sometimes defending freedom means bringing the thunder. Finally, for the true defender of the seas, we present Department of the Boat People. Sail with honor and show your allegiance to the world's mightiest maritime force. With these shirts, hoodies, and stickers, along with the tow missile, landmines, and drone warfare. These aren't just shirts, they're statements. They're your way of saying I stand for strength, unity, and style. Get yours at Bunker Branding today.